Special thanks to Chronic Boom 3 for allowing this story to be shared. Check the description for their details, and now, onto the story. All right, Mr. Edwards, if you please step over here. Unsteady on my frail old limbs, I hobbled over to the provided location, along with the other old saps like myself. I've had a long life, one that I have plenty of regrets about, but it's not like I can become younger and change it. As I've grown older, I've come to realize that being young was nothing to scoff at. That might just be nostalgia speaking, but I'm 120 years old now. I lived through the rise of the internet, the Second Cold War, the Mars landings, the space war, climate change, the genetic revolution, and an uncountable number of other great and terrible achievements. I've lived a very long time, longer than I thought I'd ever live when I was younger. Back then, the life expectancy was just about 80 years. Of course, many people lived to about 100 back then, but nowadays, the oldest human alive is, let's see, 157 now. I do not envy them, to be honest. This old body of mine has been through enough. It is starting to feel more like a prison than a vessel. My limbs don't work like they used to. My skin is wrinkled and dying, and I'm one of the lucky ones. At least I can still walk. At least I still have my mind. At least I can eat and shit without assistance. Not like some of the others lined up next to me. I've done a lot in my time alive. I went to school, I went to university, I got a job as an archaeologist, and retired. Ha! Never did find my true love, though. What a bunch of bullshit that was. Still, I lived a better life than most, I'll admit. I grew up in a prosperous country with great parents. We had our hardships from time to time, sure, but we always got through them relatively unscathed. But one thing you won't escape is age. I haven't loved anyone truly since they and my siblings passed. Since then, I've just survived another year. I never believed that I was born with a purpose. I was cynical like that. I simply believed that I was some strange cosmic anomaly that suddenly appeared. However, I'd like to think that I didn't waste that chance. In life, that is. It's better than being dead, I think. At least I can be cynical. At least I can watch the world go round one more time. At least I still have my memories. There's only so much I can do to experience life nowadays. Sure, I've got the internet, I've got video games that don't require too much physical stress, but these new controllers are just so confusing. What do you mean, just think it? How the hell is my PlayStation 12 supposed to understand my intentions if I just think it? These kids nowadays didn't live in the time where you actually had to move the joystick to play video games. My point is, you can have all the fancy graphics and all the virtual reality gear you want. It's still not the same thing. And I know I'll be called old-fashioned for that opinion, but it's true. I've just longed to go outside again and touch grass. Feel the air on my skin. Smell the air, no matter how polluted it is. Not have it simulated for me. I just want to make sure that I'm on the same earth I was when I was born, because sometimes it feels like it isn't. The world has changed, without a doubt. I just so happened to be born on the turn of the millennia. But I never expected the world I would live in to change so rapidly. I never expected things from science fiction to become science fact. I never expected to live this long, to be honest. I never planned for my future. I was always swarmed with depressing stories, and I never figured out how to simply ignore them. Be hopeful for my future. I was expecting the world to end. I thought that my future wouldn't exist, but I still lived like the rest of them all. But when the world didn't end, I'd think next decade. Next decade would be the time when society would collapse, or some dipshit would fire the nukes, or that a virus would take us all out, or even that an asteroid would destroy all life on the surface, but no, I'm still here somehow. When I turned 100 years old, I thought, I'll be dying soon. But I didn't. I'm still here, 20 years later. So what should I think? Well, I've just decided to stop questioning, stop predicting. Whatever happens, happens. Will I live next year? Who knows? Well, actually, for a rare occasion, I actually do know. I'm going to die soon if I don't change. Maybe not next year, but I simply cannot see myself surviving till the next decade. If it isn't old age that kills me, I'm going out on my own choice. Honestly, I don't have much else to live for. I've seen all that I wanted and could see. I've been to space. I've been to the moon. I've traveled to all corners of the globe. I've played every game, read every book, tried every food, and made every stupid decision I could think of. I'm bored. The things I do still wish to do, I can't. I'm simply too old. I can't find love. I can't travel. I can't have kids or start a new family. There is nothing about the immediate future that excites me. Oh boy, the United Nations predicts that we'll have ended poverty by the 2150s goodie. I'll be dead by then, so what's there to be excited about? Sure, I'm happy for those people, but still, my point is, as I look into the young eyes of the doctor in front of me, I think this person has no idea. Technology is rapidly changing, faster than anyone predicted. It wasn't as if we discovered some science MacGuffin that allowed us to advance technology. There have simply been more people to make more discoveries, and when you aren't slaving away for a job that you hate, that actually becomes a lot easier to do. She'll be living for longer than even me. We'll see things that I've never seen before. She'll live to see a world that neither I nor anyone else could ever imagine, and whoever tries to predict it will be wrong. She might even become immortal at this rate. But she's a young mind. She'll probably take much for granted, just like I have. I mean, she's working as a cryologist and she doesn't even realize how crazy that sounds to me. However, if there's one thing I've always loved seeing, it's how the world has changed. I loved learning the history of the world before I was born, and I've lived in the world today. But what if I could live in the world of the future? What if, even for the briefest of moments, I could stop guessing and know the answer? The world has been unpredictable, and honestly, I love that. It's kept me on my toes, made me doubt even the strongest evidence for a prediction, and most importantly, has made for the best stories. So, if there is anything I live for nowadays, it's to simply see the next day, but I can't. Not anymore, not with my pathetic body, not with my age. I'll die soon before anything interesting happens that will simply not do. So I've done the only logical thing. I signed up for an experimental cryosleep program. I don't know when I'll wake up, but honestly, that's all the better. As long as it isn't too soon. As I walked to the pod, I leaned heavily on the edge, catching my breath and straining my frail muscles. The doctor looks to me, supposedly wondering if they should help or not, but I wave them off. That's simply how I am now. I know how to deal with it. "Are you ready, Mr. Edwards?" she asks me. I clear my throat, my voice hoarse from overuse. "Ahem, ready as I'll ever be, but if I start singing Let It Go, you pull me out, you hear?" I laugh while stepping into the pod. The doctor didn't seem to understand the reference I was making. Figures. It doesn't matter. Soon I'll be the young one again. Soon I'll be the one seeing the world for the first time once again. That's all that matters. "Are there any last words you'd like to say for the record?" she asks, moving forward. The pod door closed, and I started hearing the sounds of machinery working in the background, valves being released, and clamps being undone. I take a moment to think. Last words? No, I don't think I have any last words. I'm not leaving anyone behind. What about instructions? Can I give you some instructions? I asked through the glass window. She looked confused. Instructions? What kind of instructions? Make sure that I don't wake for as long as they can keep me frozen, got it? She seems to hesitate for a moment, but then types something down. On the window, those exact words appear in digitized text. I smiled a little at the sight. Bloody kids and their toys. "Very well, Mr. Edwards. Sweet dreams," she says, and I suddenly feel cold rushing up my spine. A moment later, my eyes became heavy. My vision spun for a moment. My last coherent thoughts were of whether they still used the same type of anesthetic as when I was a kid, or if it was something else entirely. Actually, wait, I do have some last words. Can you tell everyone to never give me up and never let me down? Oh. I shivered as I thawed, breathing in the cold air. Jesus, that was fast. I guess that's how it's supposed to work, right? It didn't even feel like I was sleeping. I mused to myself. The door had not yet opened. A crackling radio suddenly sounds off, playing a roboticized version of a voice. "Hello, Jason Edwards. Today's date is error. You have been asleep for error. In order to fully recover from your extended period in cryosleep, please exercise your muscles, flexing your fingers and toes until feeling returns. Due to an unfortunate circumstance, no cryologist has been detected in your area. As a result, this automated message will help guide you in your recovery process. Oh, come on. Really? I wanted to get away from all the automation and I'm not even being woken up by a person. Great. Just great. As soon as I find out who's running this place, I'm going to lecture them about not relying on technology so much. I mean, come on. The computer even glitched. Now, I don't know what year it is, when all this could be avoided if someone just came and told me. Feeling unnaturally spry, I sat up from my prone position, pushing the door open manually. Mist pours out of my pod and I look around to find myself in a dark and dusty room. Couldn't even bother to clean the place up a bit, huh? I mutter to myself, vaulting out of my pod and firmly planting my feet on the concrete floor. I turned in place for a moment, trying to find a light switch, but as I did, my eyes settled on a shape. Several, actually. In front of me stood what I'd only describe as a cat person, holding a gun pointed at me, and their two friends didn't look too happy either. I could only stare at them blankly for a few moments before I finally formulated my words. Huh? Neat.